In this video, we are going to deal with the electrolytic cell. We have already studied about the electrochemical cell, first part, which is galvanic cell, right? So we have already studied about the galvanic cell. In this, we are going to study about electrolytic cells. So now, before starting this topic, we should know about the electrolysis, right? What is electrolysis? Electrolysis is a process in which ions are generated because of the electricity. Electrolysis is a process, we can say that this is the process of decomposition, of an electrolyte by the passage of electricity through its aqueous solution, or we can say in its molten or fused state. So what does it mean, student? It means electrolysis is a process in which a compound decomposes into its ion, that is electrolyte decompose into its ion on applying the electricity through that particular solution. Suppose if you are having a solution of AB electrolyte, then on providing electricity, this will dissociate into A plus and B minus. So this process is called electrolysis, and this compound which undergo electrolysis is called electrolyte. So in electrolytic process, electrolyte undergo decomposition, or they break up into the individual or respective ion on applying electricity through them, right? So this is known as electrolysis, and the component is called electrolyte. Okay, so let's move to the fabrication of electrolytic cells, right? So before moving towards the fabrication, you should know that electrolytic cells, what they do? They convert electrical energy into chemical energy. The role of electrolytic cell is they convert electrical energy into chemical energy. And the second point, you have studied that these are non-spontaneous cells. Right? And their del G value is positive because they are non-spontaneous, so their del G value is positive, right? So now let's move to the next topic, which is fabrication of electrolytic cell. Students, electrolytic cell consists of a beaker in which electrolyte is there. You know, this electrolyte undergo decomposition reaction when electricity is passed through it. It have electrolyte, right? And in these two electrodes, two metal rods are dipped. The metal rod which is present on this metal rod is called electrode, and the metal electrode which is present on left hand side is called anode, whereas the electrode which is present on right hand side is called cathode. Similarly, as you have studied in galvanic cell, these anode undergo oxidation reaction. We have already studied this, right? And cathode undergo reduction reaction. Over here reduction reaction take place, right? But the major difference between galvanic cell and electrolytic cell is that in galvanic cell this anode was negative, here this anode is positive. This is the major difference, right? And their cathode was positive, but here cathode is negative. Now why is it so? Why anode is negative and cathode is positive? This is because these electrodes are connected with external source, which is battery. These electrodes are connected with battery, the positive terminal of battery makes this electrode anode positive, and the negative terminal of this battery make this cathode as negative charge. So because of this external source, battery, these electrodes become positively charged, anode become positively charged, and cathode become negatively charged, right? So the charge is because of the battery which is connected to these electrodes. Now students, this is all about the fabrication of electrolytic cell, in which beaker containing electrolyte, and in this electrolyte two electrodes are dipped. The electrode which is present on left hand side is called anode. It undergo oxidation reaction and it is of positive charge. The electrode which is present on right hand side is called cathode. It undergo reduction reaction and it is negatively charged. Now question arises, why anode is positive and cathode is negative? Reason being, the battery decides the charge of that particular electrode. The anode is connected to the positive side of the battery, therefore this anode is positively charged, and cathode is connected to negative part of the battery, so cathode is of negative charge. So this is the fabrication of electrolytic cell, right? Now let's move to the mechanism, how it's work. Let's move to the mechanism. So students, in this electrolysis take place, and which can be explained on the basis of ionization theory, right? In this ions will be formed, so this can be explained on the basis of ionization theory. Now see what happens in this electrolyte, which may be acid, base or salt. In this electrolyte which may be acid, base and salt. Suppose this is electrolyte, AB is electrolyte. So let me write down over here, this is the electrolyte, right? Now this electrolyte may be acid, it may be base, or it may be salt, which forms from acid and base reaction. Okay, so this electrolyte, when dissolved in water, when it is dissolved in water, what it will form? It will form its respective ion, that is A positive and B negative. So when AB is dissolved in water, it will convert into its ion A positive and B negative. Hence we can see that these electrolyte, on dissolving into water, they will produce positively and negatively charged ion. Now students, what happened on passing इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, जब आप इलेक्ट्रिसिटी पास करेंगे, इलेक्ट्रिक करंट पास करेंगे, this positively charged ion will move towards the negative electrode. This positive charged ion will move towards negative electrode, right? Because oppositely charged ion always attract each other, and negatively charged ion will move towards positive electrode. Understood? So suppose this solution is having A positive and B negative. So this A positive will move towards this negative, and this B will move towards this positive electrode. Okay, so because of this movement, because of the movement of A towards the cathode and B towards the anode, oxidation and reduction will take place. So let's see how this will take place. Now students, on reaching to their respective electrodes, ion lose their charges and become neutral particles. Okay, I have told you that A positive will move towards cathode, because cathode is of negative charge, right? And B negative will move towards anode, because here anode is of positive charge, right? Now these ions will move towards the oppositely charged ion in order to lose their charges. Why they are moving? To lose their charges and to become neutral. They will try to become neutral particles, right? So how reaction will take place? See, For cation, what will happen if we talk about cation? Then this A positive, this is cation, right? The positively charged particles are called cation. So this A positive will move towards cathode. This A positive will move towards cathode, right? And it will gain electron. It will gain electron and it will form A. So you can say that at cathode reduction is taking place, right? You can say that at cathode reduction is taking place, right? And if you talk about anion, for anion is negatively charged, so it will move towards, anion is negatively charged, so it moves towards anode. So we are talking about reaction at anode. At anode, what will happen? This A negative will move towards the anode, and what will happen? It will convert into B and it will lose its electron, right? So this process is called oxidation process. So we can say that at anode oxidation is taking place, at cathode reduction is taking place, and here this A will gain electron and become neutral species, B will lose electron and will become neutral species or neutral particle, right? So the conversion of ion into neutral species at their respective electrode is called primary changes, right? So the conversion of ion into their neutral particles at respective electrode is known as, what it is known as, primary changes. जब आयन न्यूट्रल हो जाएगा इलेक्ट्रोड पे जाने पे तो उसको हम बोलेंगे प्राइमरी चेंजेस, एंड द प्रोडक्ट फॉर्म्ड एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ प्राइमरी चेंजेस may further change for the formation of final product which is known as secondary change. So if they further undergo, these product further undergo changes and then they form another product, then this is known as secondary changes. Okay, so primary changes are the formation of neutral species, and these neutral species again undergo any further reaction and then they form product, then that will be known as secondary changes. So this is all about the fabrication and mechanism of electrolytic cell. So let's move to the next topic. So students, let's see the difference between galvanic and electrolytic cell. Here I am writing about the galvanic cell. We have already studied these two topics, so now we are able to make the difference between these two type of cells, right? So let's see the difference between these two cells. So first difference is, in this, chemical energy will be converted into electrical energy. So here electrical energy will be converted into chemical energy, right? In this is a spontaneous cell, so del G value will be negative. This is a non-spontaneous cell which we have already studied, so its del G value will be positive, right? Here reaction take place by its own, so no battery required. In this, no battery is required, but in this battery is required. In this battery is required, and that also the potential of battery is more than the E of cell. The potential of battery is more than the E of cell. Generally both electrodes are same. In this, both electrodes are generally taken as same. In this, electrodes are different, right? In this, generally both electrodes are taken same. Both electrodes are taken same, right? Here you know that in this electrodes are different, right? And this electrode with standard reduction potential is high act as a cathode. So the electrode which have higher reduction potential will act as a cathode, and this reaction is spontaneous, right? So students, we can say that over here the trick comes as a lone. Here trick comes as a lone, where L stands for left, O stands for oxidation, A stands for anode, N stands for negative. So over here on left hand side oxidation will take place, and that electrode will be anode and it will be of negative charge. In short, we can say that over here anode is of negative charge and cathode is positive, right? Whereas here anode is positive and cathode is negative, just opposite to that of galvanic cell. Okay, now this anode is positive and cathode is negative, the sign decided by the battery. Here we can see that this sign is decided by battery. Okay, this sign is decided by battery. So this is the major difference, right? This is the major difference between the electrolytic cells and the galvanic cells. So let's move to the further points. So next point is over here salt bridge is required. Now you know that salt bridge is required in order to maintain the electrical neutrality and for smooth functioning of the cell, right? In this no such phenomena is involved, right? So the first point is galvanic cell convert chemical into electrical. It is a spontaneous cell. Its del G value is negative. It is in this no battery is required. In this electrodes are different. You know that on left hand side we have taken the zinc and on the right hand side we have taken the copper, right? And the trick over here comes is lone, that is left hand side oxidation will take place and that electrode will be anode and it will be of negative charge. In short, we can say that anode is of negative charge and cathode is of positive charge. And here salt bridge is required to maintain the electrical neutrality. Whereas in electrolytic cell just opposite phenomena will take place, and the major difference is regarding this point. Here anode is positive and cathode is negative, and this side is decided by the battery. So this is the basic difference between electrolytic and galvanic cell.